Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. First of all, if you are watching this and the video is not more than about 4 hours old, then I'll probably still be live. We are going to be looking at the Overwatch League games, providing some commentary to them. So either you can watch the Overwatch League games directly, or if you have both streams open, both the Overwatch League official one and my own stream open, then you get to hang out and have some commentary with chat about how the games are going. It's a little bit more of a fun way, an interactive way to watch the Overwatch League. But enough of that. Jeff Goodman just posted on the forums a post about upcoming balance changes for support heroes. These changes include proposed mercy nerfs as well as changes for all of the support heroes. So, without making you wait or any other weird intro or anything like that, let's take a look. So, upcoming balance changes for support heroes. In the next patch, we're reviewing the current state of support heroes, and we are making some changes to nearly all of them to keep them competitive with each other. I'll start by just listing the changes below. Starting out with Ana. Nano Boost additionally heals the target for 300 HP. So additional reaction to this is, well, that's at least one more use for a otherwise not very impactful ultimate. Ana's ultimate, despite being rather good, does not fit in with the rest of the ultimates, or at least the theme of the ultimates with the rest of the supports. You know, Brigitta, Lucio, Mercy, and Moira all greatly increase a team's survivability, whereas Ana greatly increases a singular target's offensive capabilities, and now there's a buff to that single target's survivability. So, still moving in a little bit of a unique direction for a support, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, with this instantaneous heal of 300 HP, a part of me feels like this is almost taking a little bit of skill or counterplay out of Ana. In that, if you are going to be going for a nano boost or a tactical visor on the current variant of Ana, in the new patch, you won't even have to worry about healing that target up or that being being bursted down after you give them nano. Don't need as much forethought. If that target just gets queued, if that target just gets dove, you just press Q and they're going to be at full health and ready to roar right away. So a little bit of the skill, or I suppose forethought, was taken out of Ana. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Ana certainly is not a character that lacks for things that you have to think about and keep track of, but it's in the same way how when they removed the ammo requirement to Lucio's boop ability, it was kind of like one of those things where I also felt during that instance that previously Lucio's had to decide whether or not the boop was worth the 4 ammo, but now Lucio's just boop off cooldown constantly. So a part of me still wishes that, thought had to be put into the character, but still, it's a nice buff for a character who is unfortunately still gonna, be blocked by barriers and whatnot. So will it be enough to make Ana meta? Well, no. But I guess a buff is a buff, and we'll take what we can get. Moving on to Brigita, we got Shield Bash cooldown increased from 6 to 7 seconds. That's always a welcome change. 6 to 7 seconds makes that, it's only a change of 1 second, but it is rather significant in that change is going to be, of course, rather significant at about 16% increase on the duration of that ability. It's going to be increased. The cooldown time of that ability is going to be increased by about 16%, which allows opponents to play around it. Previously, especially on the original variant of Brigita, the Shield Bash cooldown was so low that if she just used it, you still really couldn't play around it, since within just a couple of seconds, she would be able to threaten you with it once more. But now Brigitas have to be smarter about it. If they do offensively Shield Bash, they're going to have to survive for longer before they can use their Shield Bash to escape. And as well, the Brigita won't be able to I guess the way to explain it previously is, even if you did kind of offensively Shield Bash and not finish the kill on the target, you could just hold your shield up and stay in range of the opponent until you had your next Shield Bash up to finish the job. So Brigita's ability to kind of linger and cower behind her shield before she can get her cooldowns back up to, finish the target off with a second combo, that period of waiting and duration is going to be extended, making it much harder for her to do those solo one-on-one engagements. And will also give the opponents more ability to play around her, or give them just that one extra second to try and get through her shield and take her out. Getting into a little bit more of the interesting changes, we of course have Lucio coming in with sound barrier effect increased 50% from 500 to 750 shields. So this is... It's not quite clear what exactly this means in the patch notes, because sound barrier, of course, at the 500 shields, barriers themselves decay at different rates. So technically, Doomfist's barriers and Lucio's barriers are both, of course, barriers, obviously, but they decay at different rates. So the question in my mind is the 750 shields going to decay away from the allies at the same rate or in the same time as the 500 shields? And it's not quite clear what's going to happen in this case. If it is actually going to decay at the same rate, which means that not only is the shield going to be increased by 50%, but also the duration of sound barrier is going to be increased by 50%, that is an extremely significant change and will make Lucio's ultimate extremely impactful against burst ultimates, and we might actually have a counter to Riptire. Who knew? That might actually be possible. Of course, Coalescence, Valkyrie, and Transcendence, none of those are any good at protecting your team against a Riptire, but in this case, you might actually be able to do it a lot more consistently and without the persistent risk of being caught out trying to do it at the perfect timing. You'll have probably a second or two of extra, which then your team can use in order to safely destroy the tire. Give them a couple extra shots at that tire to blow it up. So that's a great change. Absolutely love it. I think that Blizzard took a really good step in the right direction with Lucio's sound barrier there. Next change coming in for Lucio is the crossfade aura radius increased 20% from 10 meters to 12 meters. Now, this is a radius, so you might think, oh, it's only a 20% increase, but you do got to remember that this is an area. So it's actually a 44% increase in terms of its area of effect. And if you want to pretend like the spherical volume matters, because of course crossfade isn't just a flat plane, it's also going to be a sphere, then if you really assumed that the volume mattered, then it's more like a 72 or 73% increase in volume that Lucio's aura can extend to. So this means that you can be higher when you're wall climbing, you can have your aura impact more people at the same time, you can both speed people away from targets while farther away from them, etc., etc. Is this a very massive change? No, not really. The area of effect to actually apply your sound barrier itself is still 30 meters, and then Brigitta's area of effect for hers is 20. So this radius still pales in comparison to Brigita. Of course, Lucio's healing when he's not in AMP is 16, and Brigita's is also 16, but has a 20-meter radius on it compared to Lucio's now buffed 12-meter. Of course, the downside for Brigita is the fact that she has to trigger her aura, and it isn't able to be just, constantly run for free all the time. So there are trade-offs, but still, the buff of 10 meters to 12 meters, I feel, is not extremely significant. And then, of course, we get to the Mercy changes. So primary fire healing beam reduced 17%. I don't know why they increased include the percentages. It's just give us the numbers, right? 60 HPS to 50 HPS. Oh boy. So we're keeping all the utility, keeping damage boost, keeping your mobility with the Guardian Angel, that 2-second cooldown, keeping your self-heal at 1 second, 20 HPS recharge, and keeping Resurrect. However, primary fire healing beam reduced 60 HPS to 50 HPS. So what do I think about that? First thing, Winston mains rejoice. You will finally still feel like you're doing something if you are zapping the same target that Mercy is healing. Since the very start, Winston has always been able to deal 60 DPS, and Mercy has been able to heal 60 HPS, which makes that kind of break point even. But now, if you do land on a Zenyatta, and Mercy does attach to the beam with like 1 HP remaining on that Zenyatta, the 10 damage per second is going to be enough for you to finish off that kill, as well as the melee burst just being just that finishing blow on top of it. So this is definitely a buff to dive. But the other thing about this is that Mercy is not going to be able to keep up with the amount of healing that a team needs nearly as much. So you may only feel like 10 10 health per second might not feel like it's significant, but I think this is going to be pretty massive in the fact that pocketed Widowmakers are going to die more often. Pocketed Hanzos are going to die more often. Pocketed Pharahs are going to die more often. In areas where a team is taking a lot of cleave from, a Pharah, if those rockets or a Junkrat are hitting multiple targets, it will take longer for Mercy to heal up each and every single one of those targets. So, Mercy being a single target healer has to heal them up one at a time, has to triage them, has to decide which heroes can be healed later and which heroes are in threat of imminent death. However, Mercy's biggest strength right now is the fact that she still has uninterruptible healing other than, of course, anti-nade. So Moira, who we'll get to in a second, still can't heal through barriers. That was supposedly a bug that they had fixed, but I I don't know, that was in there for a while, and it was pretty necessary for her to play as she was. But now Moira and Ana are still both blocked by barriers, which is, the change on Moira feels terrible. And we'll get to a Moira in a second. But Mercy still, despite the lower healing, still has the most consistent healing. So that's still a strength that Mercy has. Are these nerfs going to absolutely kill Mercy? No. Is it going to strengthen dive? Probably. And when we're looking at Hammond being released, as far as I'm aware, on the 24th of July, then, the meta is still looking like we're going to be going to 3-tank dive with Winston, D.Va, and Hammond. So look forward to that. Hope you missed dive because it's coming back. And then finally, the last change is Moira. Healing resource base regen rate increased 20%. Okay. I guess. Thanks, Blizzard. I don't know what to say about this. My first reaction was, so they made goats stronger? Like, one of the things is that goat's composition, the composition that we are seeing so much of in contenders as well as Overwatch League, really relies on this Moira in certain circumstances in order to survive against a large amount of chip damage. So she's just going to run out of healing less often. But I don't really feel like that was ever a problem, especially if you were running her in tank-heavy compositions and whatnot. You were already getting your coalescence extremely quickly, and even if you didn't, just a couple ticks of the right-click would give you enough charge to keep you going, or, a healing orb itself was very, very powerful. So this kind of feels meh. I don't know, we'll have to see how much of an impact it has, but honestly, playing Moira myself, I've gotten used to the actual regen rate, gotten used to the amount of right click, the damage that I have to do in order to maintain my base healing resource, as well as, if you just play your cards right, you're probably going to have your coalescence before you even get anywhere close to running out of resource. And if you do, in a fight, run out of resource, well, coalescence right there, or beam, Kamehameha, and everybody's dead. So, of course, it's not as simple as that, but you get the point. So, now that all the changes are listed, I'll go through each hero and talk a bit about the goals of these changes and our current views on each support hero in general. Well, this should be enlightening. Ana has a very strong and unique toolbox, with the potential, keyword, to dish out more healing than any other hero in the game. That said, she has a couple disadvantages, just a few, that can be difficult to overcome, such as the potential to miss your targets. Who does that? Not having any mobility options, and having a more difficult time keeping herself healed up. On the upside here, I do appreciate Blizzard not giving into mobility creep and giving Ana some sort of combat role or something. As cool as that would be, please, for the love of God, stop giving everybody mobility. Hanzo's was a mistake. Remove lunge. Hashtag. Her ultimate can be very powerful, but often feels like it can be difficult to use effectively unless it is used in combination with other allied ultimates such as Genji's Dragon Blade. This new change allows Ana to use her ultimate as a clutch save on a dying teammate, or even use it in combination with her Biotic Grenade for a huge instant heal on even the biggest of tank health pools. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think of that initially, but I suppose Biotic Grenade would turn that into a 450 HP insta-heal. It's going to be funny, there's going to be a couple times, of course, that the Ana is going to use Nano Boost on something like a Zenyatta or something in order to keep him alive, and I can just see Twitch chat now saying, NA ult lol. But you know, especially if that your partner in crime, your Zenyatta, is about to die, and he goes from 10 HP, and people are hard committing onto killing him, and he goes from a 10 HP free kill to a 200 HP murder machine. Well, that can be. It'll be interesting to see what Anas make of this. It'll be interesting to see what Anas make of this. Fascinating. Brigita. Shield Bash is Brigitta's strongest ability, and its short cooldown makes it very difficult to play around. Well, at least they're aware of that. We'd like to keep her Shield Bash and subsequent melee combos powerful and effective, while just allowing a little more counterplay against it. No argument here. We've talked about possibly reducing her defense somewhere, such as reducing her barrier health. However, her tank hybrid nature is a core part of her kit, and we want to make sure she maintains that feeling of being a difficult target to take down. Overall, Brigitta's win rate is still the highest of any support, despite dishing out the lowest amount of raw healing per second, probably because she's just a pain in the ass to kill and can out-duel DPS. Very powerful in ranked, not as strong, but still very strong in competitive. This speaks volumes to how powerful her kit can be outside of her direct healing numbers. I don't think anyone was arguing that one. Lucio. Lucio's Crossfade Aura can be an invaluable addition for any team, but it can sometimes be difficult to keep your whole team boosted. That's not really the point of Lucio anyway. We're increasing the radius of Lucio's Crossfade Aura to allow more flexibility in how he moves while still maintaining his powerful support songs to help out his team. His ultimate is also being increased to help counter large spikes of damage. For example, Junkrat's ultimate can deal a maximum of 600 damage, which Sound Barrier can now potentially negate completely. Same example I used. It is worth noting that even though the initial shield he provides is larger, it still takes the same amount of time to destroy itself. What a fucking letdown. Was it really so hard to just let it last 50% longer too? That would make it so strong, but, you know, Lucio's... Because one of the reasons that you're going to be running Lucio in, at least competitive in this case, in that Lucio is one of the supports who can add an extra little spice to your aggression. You know, he's got his ultimate, which is kind of like a budget transcendence. It's not nearly as good. He's got his speed, which can allow even dive comps, like after they've engaged and used their mobility, you can keep on them and speed after targets. You know, if you are using compositions that do not have mobility, well then, you know, Lucio can definitely assist those characters engaging and disengaging, but we really haven't seen that since, you know, the Rhine Deathball compositions of like season 4 or something like that. So the whole like Lucio is a must pick and Reinhardt is a must pick. Unless you played in like the seasons 3 and 4, you probably don't remember that. But yeah, so Lucio's overall healing and utility is not as valuable, except, you know, we've recently seen him in Overwatch League used as kind of like the second support to a Sombra, in the fact that Lucio gives you a little bit of healing, gives you a nice ultimate, but primarily gives you that extra offense. So, you know, the whole thing about keeping your whole team boosted with your aura, while nice, not exactly one of the things that he was being used for at the highest levels of play. Next thing is Mercy. Mercy is intended to able to consistently pump out more healing than any other healer over the course of a match. Well, consistently, yes. While this is currently true, the difference in healing is so significant that it makes it very difficult for other healers to compete with her for a spot on team. Also, the fact that her healing can't be blocked. Reducing her healing output will close this gap a little, but she will still maintain her status as the go-to pick for raw healing power. We'll keep an eye on her to make sure she is still a strong pick. I wonder how many times they had to rephrase that paragraph. Make sure they don't want to offend anyone. I wonder why they never mention, I don't know, we haven't gotten to Moira's yet, but I wonder why they never mention her ability to heal through barriers, her healing not to be affected by defense matrix, etc., etc. Moira is a strong hero that doesn't need a ton of changes. The resource change here is mostly to help her out in the situations where you're not able to get close enough to the enemy to drain them for resources. Now, if your team is sparring with the enemy team at super long ranges, you'll have a bit more resources to work with to keep your team topped off. Isn't this like one of the counterplays to Moira, though? Play out of that range, spammer to... Like, this seems like one of the weaknesses and main counterplays to Moira is the fact that if you do kind of have this prolonged engagement themselves, then the Moira is constantly going to be running out of resources, you know, bleeding her health resource pool, and then not going to actually be able to keep her team up. This feels like one of the very legitimate counterplays to Moira that they're kind of just removing. Why? You know, it's no real question The way that tank rush compositions play, they play super safe, they play around corners, they play out of line of sight, the opponent gets into a kill box, boom, speed onto the targets, take them out as quickly as possible, because Moiras do not like sustained fights. So, and one of the downsides of Moira is she's best when all the tanks are playing very grouped up and clustered, but that also makes you extremely weak to AoE. So you don't want to be doing that for any longer than necessary. So I feel like they really missed the mark on this one. And then finally, Zenyatta, we aren't making any changes to Zen right now, as we feel he's in a pretty good spot. He's doing his job well as a hybrid damage healer, and being able to provide Discord role for your team is always be welcome. Yeah, Zenyatta's good. I feel like Zenyatta is, the gold standard for supports. Good high skill cap, good ultimate that requires a lot of thought to use properly, no mobility, so he has to put a lot of effort into his positioning consciously. He has to micromanage his harmony and his Discord orbs. I think Zenyatta is the gold standard for supports, and unless they're going to be nerfing the percentage of Discord itself, which would fuck with all of the current breakpoint values, then I feel like there's no changes necessary for Zenyatta. Well, that's it. I've got, I suppose, 12 minutes before I'm turning my stream online to do the commentary for tonight's Overwatch League playoff games. So, of course, if you are just coming in from YouTube, you've never watched the stream before, check it out, twitch.tv/Jayne. I am primarily a Twitch content creator, but I do love dropping my videos here for you guys to enjoy as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found my opinion on the patch notes interesting. I'm going to try and keep this as, clickbait free as possible. But as always, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.